Hello, I'm Molly, and I'm going to be doing the extended Zodiac finally for Hiveswap. And don't mind me, I've got my drink, I've got my jelly, I've got another drink, and then I've also got this Nepeta hat that Mum made me for, fucking the first Comic-Con I went to. Yes, I was 20 at the time. Let's begin. Introducing the extended Zodiac, an updated astrological profile for an expanding world. Unlike the traditional Zodiac, this system takes into account certain features of your personality and perspective rather than simply the day you were born. By taking the test, you may determine which of the 288 signs below is your true sign. So this is, in a way, like the other HOMESTUCK quiz I did last year, except this is official and for Hiveswap, which I plan to be doing, well, sometime after this video. I wanted to do this first. Alright. First, select my sign class. The extended Zodiac expands on the meaning of your traditional Zodiac sign by determining your true sign. First, select your birth sign according to the traditional Zodiac, or you can pick the sign that you most closely identify with. These are the signs you've heard of, like etc, etc, etc. Well, I was born on October 19, so that makes me a Libra, like Terezi. I selected teal. That means my true sign is one of the signs below. To find out which, keep the... well. Social and flirtatious, teal signs are natural networkers. They are excellent business partners and collaborators. Although they don't shrink from utilising their many charms, they are idealists with a strong sense of right and wrong. You'll learn more about what it means to be a teal sign when you see the final results of the test. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not disagreeing, though, again, whatever you pick is up to interpretation. Excuse me, biting owls, I am doing a video here. Now I need to determine my lunar sway. This test tells you whether you're a prosperous dreamer or a Durst dreamer. Either one says something about your perspective on life and the world around you. I'm fairly certain I would probably be Durst, because I have crippling depression. Finding out your lunar sway is one of the two critical pieces of information needed to determine your true sign. For each question below, choose the answer that most closely reflects your perspective. Some people on the internet you know are negatively discussing you hold dear. You could just let it slide, or you could get in there and defend it with your life. How do you respond? I think I'd stay out of it for the most part, but potentially correct some errors. Like, when I have something I hold dear, like, really ripped to pieces, say, for example, Team Fortress 2, I do know that there are flaws in it, and, I also know that some people would be making assumptions, but I'd stay out of it. I'm kind of B and C, but I'm mostly one to avoid aggression, or like any kind of confrontation. Confrontation is the word. I'm all set to cook dinner when I realise I'm missing a couple of key ingredients from the recipe I'm using. What do? Usually I just go to the store and get what I'm missing. Like the number of times that Amber and I have gone to make dinner and, you know, we're missing like cream of chicken soup, or, you know, someone got cream of asparagus soup instead of cream and chicken. The packages really do look very similar, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. How do I feel meeting online friends in person for the first time? I would be anxious. Absolutely. That's part of, yes, new person out of my comfort zone. Then, like for me personally, my entire internet persona is built up around, communication with other people kind of being outside of my little zone, because, like, for example, when I made the, video about, how horrible I was feeling, a lot of people had no idea, and that's because I don't talk about myself. I usually talk about other people, and I put up a positive facade, so, meeting someone in person is like ripping off a fucking mask to reveal the big disappointment underneath. I'm having a hard time grasping a topic in a class that everyone seems to be fine with. So, back when I was in high school, I would always lean over and ask a friend, because in primary school and everything else, I had major issues with talking to teachers. Like, if I wanted to talk to a teacher about something serious, with the exception of my grade 5 teacher, I would usually start crying just because it was that fucking stressful for me. So, I think now I'd still be more inclined to lean over and ask a friend. Like, in the situation that if I was still working with Alan and the manager came over and asked us about something and I missed it, I'd still prefer to ask Alan instead because I feel more comfortable with friends. I start taking lessons to learn something I've wanted to for a while. Language, art, bartending, etc, etc. But after a few weeks, I decide that it definitely isn't my thing. I decide to stick it out, though. Why? I never know, it might grow on me. Not really. I spent time and money on it already, so I'm gonna finish it. Sounds like a good answer. It's already on my schedule. Nope. I'm not a quitter. Nope. If I stopped, that means I didn't like the thing as much as I thought I did, which means I don't know myself the way I thought I did, which is unacceptable. No. I'm a quitter. I'm a big bloody quitter. I would have quit my university course if I could. I'd quit everything that's stressful. But like with buying food that's difficult for me to finish, I will eat it anyway, because I spent money on it, and I don't want to fucking put that food to waste. So if I do stick it out, it would be because I spent money and time on it already, so I may as well go through with it. I'm on holiday. Do I prefer to leave my itinerary up to chance, or do I plan it out ahead of time? So it depends on what it is. I only went on to, honestly, 2 holidays recently. If it's not specifically about a holiday and it's just about extended trips, then I would probably have a few things left open, but I'd mostly plan it. You know, you've got to be here, you've got to have that, this is what we're doing here. Because if I don't plan things ahead, like if I don't plan ahead with what I'm doing, usually I just end up doing nothing, which is quite evident in my work ethic, in which usually if I don't plan something to do the night before, then I wake up and go, what the fuck am I supposed to do with myself? So I'd say having a few things left open is fun, but for the most part I want to plan it, and I'm going to have some jelly. I love jelly, but this is like the cough syrup flavoured stuff. I'm torn between whether or not I like it. A friend of mine and someone I don't know are caught in an argument. They've asked you to help facilitate. You want to support your friend, but after hearing both sides, you actually agree with a stranger. How do I choose who to support? I think I delicately disagree with my friend. I have a lot of difficulty when I think something is the truth, or when I agree with something, of like saying anything at all if I have to disagree with it. Like, either I'll disagree with it or I'll stay quiet. But yeah, if it was a friend I thought I could disagree with, then, well, obviously they'd be a friend because you're supposed to be able to disagree with your friends, but nevertheless, I try and let them down gently. I have a very important message to write over email or some other text communication method. Okay, that's going to take a few months. It's a sensitive matter, difficult to compose, possibly of an emotional or confronting nature. I've done that numerous times before. When I'm done writing, you're about to hit the send button. What next? I think not just yet. I'd give it one more read, because I do understand that if I don't get the things that are difficult for me out of the way first, then they won't get done. And I'll just, like with my anxiety, and I suppose, I don't know whether it's an autism thing, or it's just a Molly's a fucking dickhead thing, but if I'm stressed about something, that takes the top priority. Like, for example, I did have a job interview tomorrow, but part of the requirements for the job was going to Melbourne for a week, and I can't afford chucking out $100 for like travel there and back for 5 days. And it was like calling up and cancelling it was on my mind until I got the phone call to cancel it. It basically owns my entire fucking day, so like I'd give it one read to make sure that it reads okay, but yeah, I'd just fucking send it off. Durs! What a big fucking surprise. Durstreamers are skeptical, restless, and prone to rebellion. Valuing rational thought and calculation, they tend to know themselves far better than they know the world around them, finding it difficult to live in the moment. I will learn more about what it means to be a Durstreamer when I see the final results. Now I need to determine my aspect. Now, if you do not know Homestuck, then I would say go to the wiki, because there is so fucking much going on here. Alright, let's go. Think about your life as if it's a story, and you're the main protagonist. Do you tend to view yourself as a lone hero who along the way meets other supporting characters who only have a tangential relation to your personal journey? Or do you view yourself as a hero in an ever-shifting ensemble of important protagonists? I'm inclined to say part of an ensemble, because my life has shifted so much from, like, my primary school friends used to be the main parts of my life story, then it was mostly my family, then it was my high school friends, then it went back to mostly being my family, and now it's basically down to Amber, my internet friends, and friends I've made through Alan. So I honestly don't view myself as a protagonist. I just feel like I'm here. Not necessarily a protagonist, just a player on a massively multiplayer online server. And, excuse me, jelly is very important. It cannot wait. Oh, that's good. Good texture. I might just make a cut of this video and call it Molly Eats Jelly. I don't know whether that would be hilarious or whether that would play into some kind of erotic fiction someone's interested in, watching a fat trans girl eat jelly. Somebody's probably into it. Anyway, so I'd call myself part of an ensemble all the way. I'm always part of a group in some way, even if it's just with internet friends. Like when I was living alone for those 6 months, my main ensemble was online friends. So when I want to help people accomplish something and they don't know what they're doing, or am I inclined to show them how to do it, or am I inclined to make them feel motivated and inspired to do it? I could go either way, because from what I learned in teaching, there's a little bit of like give and take in this field, because sometimes someone needs help to know how to actually do something, and sometimes someone just needs to be like hyped up. Like for example, and I'm still in fucking interview mode from when I got the phone call today. So for example, when I was in primary school, there was, we had group activities, and one day mine was my group was doing a craft activity, and we had a whole bunch of instructions to follow, and the inability to follow the instructions stressed me out to the point where I had a meltdown. So, like, I would need to, be shown how to do it. And like, that Vermintide 2 tower climb thing, I actually needed Alan to point out what I was doing wrong so I could do it. But sometimes people can do it and they just need the motivation, and to be able to learn on their own is the best. Yeah. Actually, I think I'd lean towards showing them, because, you know, once people can see what they're doing, usually then they can then do what they're supposed to do and learn best through their doing. And this just turned into a whole bunch of fucking teaching philosophy. When you're learning about a new subject or reading a fascinating story, do I feel a strong desire to know everything about it and have all your questions answered? Yes. Yes. I absolutely need to know everything. This is a perfect example with video games. So, as much as it's not a fictional story and there's mystery to it, there are game mechanics, there are numbers to crunch, there's a meta. I think Payday 2 is actually a better example, because it's one thing playing the game and knowing that, for example, Anarchist is good if you want to tank damage, but it's another thing to know that you need more than 255 armor to be able to take 2 shots from the high damage cuffs before your shield goes down. And yeah, if I'm into something, I obsess over it. Again, don't know if it's a mole is just that way or whether that's an ASD thing. When I hear someone explaining something to someone else in a way that is questionable, or in a way that makes me suspect that they don't fully understand the subject they're explaining, am I more inclined to teach them everything I know about the subject to set the record straight, or just cast doubt on the misinformation? It would really depend, because again, it depends on how comfortable I was in the situation. Ideally, I would prefer to set the record straight if I could. On everything. If I could choose one ability, what would it be? The ability to travel any period history on... The ability to travel to any period in history on Earth at will, past or future? Or the ability to safely travel anywhere in the universe at will, instantly? I believe I would take the space travel, because traveling through time can get icky. And at the same time, if I spend too much time dwelling in the past, then I'm going to completely and utterly fuck my mind. If I'm working on a project, something I'm doing for myself, not anyone else, am I obsessively focused on the end result of the project? Or am I enjoying the process regardless of how it turns out? Of the answers, I'd have to say result is very important, but I'd like to enjoy it along the way too, because unreasonably obsessed with the results of my projects rather than enjoying it. I don't know that I actually feel enjoyment in the way that I'm supposed to. I do feel a sense of, I suppose, not boredom? So, I'm not entirely sure if I actually enjoy what I do, but it's not boring. I'd rather be doing it, so... Which option best describes what's more important to me? Understanding myself and fully knowing who I am, or thinking rationally and making strong decisions? Oh. For this one, I think I'd actually go for understanding myself, because what we consider to be rational is not always the right thing. And I mean, as it is, my thought processes usually jump to rationality based on the facts and the information I know. I, at times, can, I suppose, be a bit uncaring and quite blunt in what I say to people, because I'm just like, this makes sense, this is the smart thing to do. I'd really prefer to properly, completely and utterly understand myself all the way through, because if you can master yourself, then you can change the world around you, or you can try and change the world around you to better suit you. But then again, that could also just be the teacher in me, because if I knew what made someone tick, I could then put together something to help them thrive and survive. So, yeah, I think understanding myself is more important than being able to think rationally. What idea is more interesting to me? The ability to fully understand my potential as a person, or the ability to fully understand all the potential consequences of my actions before taking them? Fuck. I don't think I actually want to know what the consequences of my actions are before I take them, because as a very anxious person, I do catastrophize a lot, and actually scratch that, it's all potential consequences of my actions before I take them. So it's not, you'll know what's going to happen, it's, you'll be fully aware of what you're already doing, and I already know that. But as for wanting to understand my personal potential, I don't think I want to know that. I think that's a box that I'm not willing to open, because on the one hand, it could mean that I have amazing potential to do wonderful things with my life, or it could also mean that the only potential I have is to be an unemployed fucklord. So, I want to know the consequences, like the potential consequences to all my actions. That would help me decide things better. Which better describes my attitude? Having great conviction in certain beliefs or ideas I'm attracted to, or casting strong doubt on beliefs or ideas I dislike? You know what? I don't have a spine. I do not have a spine. And when someone with a higher authority level comes along, a higher authority level and a stronger attitude comes along and says, Molly, we think this way about this now, I go, okay. That's the, okay, it's another long story, but that's actually kind of how I ended up to getting dragged into some of my teenage year shit. But I might actually touch on that when I finally do the Getting Over It series. But I want to be able to stand up for what I believe in. I want to know what I believe in. But casting doubt on beliefs I dislike, I don't know. I do also have a preference for people sharing my way of thinking, but I also know that that's not very healthy. And I don't want the entire world to think like me because, you know, I think I'm the best and I think my way rules. I think it would just be far less stressful for me to work out if I already knew what everybody thought. When circumstances are intolerably bad, which am I more inclined to do? Come up with the best alternatives or solutions and work as hard as I can to make those happen instead, or don't worry about a better alternative, burn it all down, and whatever follows, I'll just deal with it as it comes. Look, I am inclined to have a solution first, but sometimes you've just got to take actions, and an example of this is, I got a $5,000 loan from a very abusive person who now we're fighting in court with, and I still have to pay them back all the money. Now, I didn't have a backup solution to if I ran out of work. It was, I'll just take it as it comes. And if I were to have a solution to how am I going to pay for the computer, you know, if I had waited until I had a solution, I never would have gotten the computer and I would still be an even worse mess than I am now. So, yeah, if you can have a solution, then definitely. But sometimes you just gotta take a chance, and, you know, I read somewhere that it's not about whether your decision was right or wrong, it's working your ass off to make it so it was the right decision. Like, I'm gonna work my ass off to make this work, because I want to, it was the decision I made, and with a little bit of extra effort, you know, I can fuck the downsides. If I see someone suffering, am I inclined to do whatever I can to help them get better? Or is my instinct to relate to their suffering, to empathize without necessarily considering how you help? I'll focus on helping primarily, but I don't think I'd be able to stop myself from relating to the problem. When I have problem, and when I whinge about problem, I personally have a negative reaction to anyone who's like, I empathize with this, rather than going, here's some sympathy and support. Because, like, I don't want to hear that I know that feel, I want to hear, let me fix that feel. With a lot of people, I do my best to try and try to say, you know, I know that feel, here's what happened, here's what I can do to help. And usually what I would be able to do to help is throw money at them to make their problems go away, but I can't do that. But, yeah, ideally I help people out, but, you know, I can't really stop myself from making things about me a little bit. When someone suffers misfortune so terrible that you know there is nothing anyone can do for them, are you most inclined to feel horrible that nothing can be done, or feel resigned to the sense that this is just the way of the world, and that some things just can't be helped? I'd say feel absolutely horrible that there's no way to help this person. I'd probably end up trying to think of ways to help them regardless, because as much as some things can't be helped, I want to do everything I can in my power to help. If I were fucking rich, There are so many people on the internet that I would have sent at least $10,000 to. Unfortunately, I'm helpless. So sometimes I don't go to the extra step of trying to find out how I can help because, you know, I can't, and it'd just make us more distressed, so... Alright, let's see it. My aspect is light. Really. The Lightbound possess a keen desire to learn and sympathize. They are ravenous for knowledge, and will go to great lengths to gain it. Although their convictions are strong, their morality is decidedly grey. You'll learn more about what it means to be Lightbound when you see the final results of the test. Okay, so that's very different from the original answer of being the, fuck, what was it? The Muse of Space. Alright, what do we got? My true sign is Lipia. Okay, the sign of the networker. If your true sign is Lipia, then you possess the unique combination of qualities held by all teal signs, Durst Dreamers, and Lightbound. Right! Teal signs are natural charmers. Social and flirtatious, they are great at parties and public speaking events. Yep. Even though they aren't afraid to use their many engaging qualities in both personal and business ventures, they have a strong moral sense. Which is funny because that conflicts with light of being morally grey. Right and wrong are very obvious to a teal sign, and it can frustrate them that others don't see the world the way they do. Yep. Their idealism can make them strong defenders of justice. Yep. But can also result in them being incredibly let down. Yep. Their strict adherence to procedure can lead to errors in judgment. Yep. They can be gullible and too quick to trust. Yep. They have vibrant imaginations. Yep. Except most of my imagination is just being my persona. And enjoy fiction and role-playing, and often those games will resemble the lives they want to be living. Painfully accurate. Deep down, they often long for a hero, someone they can idolize and count on, with the smarts and charisma to keep up with them. Yep. Unfortunately, they have a tendency to get involved with people who are very obnoxiously wrong for them out of a desire not to be alone. Many teal signs are better off being single, at least until someone really extraordinary comes along. Durst. Durst Dreamers have personalities marked by a distinct and restless skepticism. Whatever their waking circumstances, chances are they'll live in a state of dissatisfaction. Rebellion is in their blood, manifesting whether they are fighting back against a fascist dictatorship or the most recent trend in casual footwear. Pants down around the ankles, anyone? Durst Dreamers are cerebral and self-aware. They have a far better grasp on the landscape of their own minds than on the world around them, which they can find alienating and confusing. But as so much as their identity is built on control, they will do their utmost to hide any insecurities, often with false humility or self-deprecating humour. They may be inflexible and pessimistic, but they are also great problem solvers facing conflict head-on with shrewd, calculating minds. They see one true path among an infinite snarl of wrong ones. They tend to be introverted, but if you win their trust, Durst Dreamers are extremely powerful allies. However, they find sincere vulnerability difficult and will often keep people at arm's length. Letting go and living in the moment is hard for a Durst Dreamer. They constantly look toward the future and analyse the past. Those bound to the aspect of light are the universe's knowledge seekers. They are, above all, driven to learn and understand. They are great alchemists, able to take multiple sources of information and synthesize them into something useful. They are scholars and researchers, absolutely dedicated to the knowledge for knowledge's sake. I guess? That's a very polite way of putting it. I should get fucking hard on for knowing shit. They are the ultimate students, and although that might conjure up the image of people sitting around peacefully waiting for knowledge to be brought to them, that couldn't be further from the truth. The Lightbound will go after knowledge with a fierce intensity that others may find distasteful. They aren't overly concerned with laws or norms either. They often take rules as simple suggestions, instead searching for loopholes or workarounds. At their best, the Lightbound are resourceful and driven, At their worst, they can be fussy, pedantic, and insensitive. And I came out to have a good time, and I'm honestly feeling so attacked right now. So, there's my extended Zodiac. I am Lipia. And I'm fairly certain that is actually the Village Roadshow logo. I wouldn't be opposed to that. So, I'm a teal Durs aspect of light. That was actually really fun. I do love doing, like, personality quizzes because I get to talk about myself. See you guys next time.